نعم التدريب العاشر. The 10th exercise, it says ضع علامة الخطأ أمام العبارة الخطأ ثم اكتب العبارة الصحيحة أمامها. So there might be some mistakes in these sentences. So we have to find them and then correct if there is any mistake. So the first one, it says, what does it say? It says سمعت بكر الأذان. Is there any mistake in this? So basically, I think you just pay attention to the verbs and the subject. So whether the verbs is agreeing with the subject or not. Okay, so you have to find the verb and you have to find the file, the doer, the subject of the verb, and then you match. Mistake. Okay, good. So yes, samia, excellent. So we don't say sami'tu bakrun. It doesn't make any sense, right? So it would be sami'a. Yes, I'll just write the verb. I don't have to write the whole thing. So sami'a. Okay, nice. Because yes, as you understand, samia is for third person singular, masculine, and that's what we have here. The next one, it says قرأ سعيد الكتابة. What do you think? قرأ سعيد الكتابة. It is okay. Yes, it is okay. There's no mistake. The next one, أتم فاطمة الوضوء. Yes, so what Sister Dino wrote, yes, so it would be atammat, okay, atammat. Now, so I think you guys are understanding the verbs, the masculine verb, masculine singular verb, and the feminine singular verb, right? So what do you think of this one? This one I talked about not too much, but I mentioned about this one. It says, Asri'i ya bakrun. First of all, remember we talked about verbs having three types. What type of verb, meaning in terms of different types of verb, past, present, and the command, what type of verb is asri'i? Do you recognize this? Asri'i comes from the verb asra'a. 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 Okay, so that is he hastened. He hastened. Okay, in the past tense. So that's for he, and the she would be asri'at. But what's going on with the ya? What do you think happening here? This is the command verb. This is not a past tense. This is a command verb. The command verb for masculine would be, here it should not be asra'at. Okay. Command verb for the masculine would be asri'. Asri' with the sukun. Remember, the command verbs has sukun at the end. But for the feminine, it would be asri'i. Now, I don't think the book really talked too much about these things, but I am pretty sure I mentioned it when we had this verb, or the other ones, ta'alay, remember? So in the command verb, when we have ya, is the same thing as when we have ta for the past tense verb. Okay, so something we are not studying, but at least you're getting exposed to these things. So try to keep this in your mind. And when we do study about the command verbs, things will be easy. Okay, so for the masculine, it would be sukun like asri'. And for the feminine, it would be asri'. For example, uktub. Uktub for the masculine. Now you're asking a female person to write, it would be uktubi. You understand? So inshallah, something that we'll learn. I don't think the book really went too much in details, but that's what it is. Yeah, and yeah, I'm saying what this year is. Now I'm going to ask you the question. Okay, so first I'm explaining what this year is doing. Now you tell me if this is correct or not. Hmm? So as the brother Karim is pointing out, it is incorrect. Now that you understand how the command verb works, so we cannot have ya for the masculine person. So it would be asri'. Okay, the sukun. Now, okay, the fifth one, bada al-walidu al-wudu'a wa ghasala yadayhi. What do you think? Correct or incorrect? Okay, so you think, okay, yes, good. So we have walid, which is a masculine, and our verb is also masculine. Okay, we have another verb. It is still talking about al-walid, so everything is fine. So this one is good. And then we have qama al-ummu lil-wudu'i. It is not okay. So you're thinking ending yes. Okay, good. So I think you guys are getting it. So this is good, alhamdulillah. So it will be qamat. Okay, so we can quickly go through them. So this one is fine. Ghasal al-walid. Okay, so masculine matches. Masaha Fatimatu. So that's a problem, right? So this is not good. We have to have masahat because of Fatima. Tamadmada al-walidu. This is good. And then we have, okay, so what do you think of number 10? Ta'alay lil-wudu'i ya bakru. So the verb is this one. We have, remember what in the verb, when you see ya, right? Because this verb, we've seen this verb before, right? Ta'alay. And I just mentioned to you, this ya comes from, this is a command verb. We know ta'alay means let's go, right? Ta'alay means let's go. Let's go. Something like that. And yes, so now you know it's not okay. Because when we have a command verb, and one of the things right now, obviously, you have to first find out if it's a command verb or not. But we talked about this verb before. So in the beginning, don't look for rules, especially in this kind of books. They're not too interested in giving you rules a lot. In the beginning, you learn the words and you use them and you get used to it. Okay, so you don't have to think about in the beginning, you understand? So because we had this word, ta'alay, and we were using this one for Fatima. And I also mentioned this issue for the masculine, it would be ta'ala without ya. Now, two ways you can fix it. Obviously, you can remove the ya, or you can just change the name. I think the removing ya would be better. I think that's what they want to do. Ta'ala. جيد. Next, التدريب الحادي عشر. The 11th exercise. Okay. So this should be very easy for you guys. So it's basically talking about different types of mud. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. So you understand the mud happens in Arabic language. There's only one type of mud, one type of prolong. When you study the tajweed in the Quran, then you understand there are many types of prolong. Like you may stretch a sound for many different length. But in spoken Arabic or the standard Arabic, there's only one. And how does it happen? When do you do it? When you have a fatha, okay, when you have a fatha and alif, whatever this letter is, this is one mud. And when you have a dhamma and waw, this is second mud. And when you have a kasra and ya, these are the only mud exist in Arabic language in terms of the standard Arabic. You understand? So so we have, for example, this one wudu. So here we have a mud. Here we have a mud because we have fatha and alif. And asri'i, here we have a mud. Okay, because it's kasra here. Sa'id. So here we have a mud. Okay, you understand? Surah. Walid. That's so I'm pretty sure you guys understand that. That's not a big deal. So you can go through them. And now جيد. Next تدريب التدريب الثاني عشر. which is 12th exercise. Okay, so this is something they're showing you. It's kind of important because a lot of people do get confused. I've seen in my other class, people are getting confused. So you'll see sometimes we have this weird looking symbol on the top of alif. What does it mean? It basically means you have a Hamza and alif. Okay, it just basically means Hamza because we don't want to write something like that, right? It's not doesn't look that good. For example, this is exactly what it means. You have Hamza, and then you have alif, and then everything else. So, but in the Mus'haf in the Quran, the Mus'haf that you read, you will see that sometimes what happens is they don't write the Hamza like that. They write the Hamza like this one. So you'll see there, you'll see that this is how they write the ayah. But usually we will not write when you're writing, you should not write it like that. You remember the Mus'haf, writing the Quran, there's many different rules, and there are lots of reasons behind why the writing style, the one that they adopted. For us, we don't write Hamza and Alif like that. We'll just write like this. Yeah. Okay. Understand? What does sitar mean in the last page? Oh, sitar. Sitar is curtain. Curtain. Okay, curtain like veil. Okay. So for example, when the window curtain that you have, you'll call sitara. Sitara with the tamarbuta, right? Tilmid. Okay, what is tilmid? Tilmid has two meanings. One is student. Student in a sense, because this word has a little bit different meanings. Before, it usually used to mean like you have a teacher and his students. You understand? So for example, you go to a sheikh, you go to any teacher, Quran teacher, or any teacher, all the students would be his student. Okay, so you understand. But right now, usually we use tilmiz for like smaller grade students. I would say like primary school students, something like that. But it also means people, right? Okay, so it's clear now. Okay, so please make sure you understand this writing style. That's how we write Hamza and Alif. Okay. By the way, this word is not. It's even sometimes I mispronounce it because it's very hard to distinguish when I'm pronouncing it. But the one we had adhan is call to prayer. Okay. But what this one adhan is completely different. Do you know what adhan means? It is plural for udhun. What is udhun? Ears, yes. For this one, we say adhan, and here we say adhan. So you see how pronunciation can make a big difference. So I think you understand these things. This is just how we write. Now we have التدريب الثالث عشر. Okay, 13th exercise. Here they will be teaching you, here they will be talking about how do we say time. How do we say time? Okay. So the expression that we say or we use is kamisa. Kamisa. This is the main expression. First of all, we know that the word is kam, and we know what kam means. We learned that kam means how much or how many. Okay, usually kam comes for number. Okay, in terms of amount, adat. And it has a sukun. But here, because I explained to you before that because we have alif lam and sukun, they don't go together. So we have to say kamisa. Okay, so just learn this expression. You want to know, you're asking someone what time is it, you say kamisa. Okay, you can say kamisa al-an, which means what time is it now. In English, if you want to say what time is it now, you can, or you can just say what time is it. You will say kamisa. Now, one thing that I want to mention, I think I mentioned before, that the way this expression is using the word come, it is not how it should be used. But without giving you too much lecture on this, just memorize this way, because the reason why I'm mentioning it, because you make sure you don't forget how to use come, because this book has taught how to use come in many lessons. We had this word come many times. So for example, if I want to ask you how many books, let's just say I'm asking how many books, who can tell me how do we say? The word is come, book is kitab, and books is kutub. Okay, and the English is, we say how many books. Kam kitaban. Yes. Okay, so there's many issues to know. Number one, what brother wrote is kam kitaban. Excellent. Few things. Number one, in English, in English we say how many books, right? In Arabic, we don't use the plural. We use singular. And we don't say kitabun, we say kitaban. That's why I'm bringing this up. Otherwise, you'll be, after come is always, you have the singular in the fatha state, singular mansub. Okay, so you have to have a singular and you have to use fatha. And indefinite, you cannot have definite. You cannot say kam al kitaba. You understand? So that's the way we use come. So here, the way they're using come, actually, it is in the place of ma. Like what? What is the time? Ma sa'atu, what is the time? But they don't say it like this. Okay, so I'm just making sure you understand. For asking time, just make sure you memorize this expression. Kamisa. You want to ask somebody what time is it? You say kamisa. So, and make sure it is dhamma. Kamisa. Okay. So the question is kamisa'atul ana ya bakru. So what time is it, Bakr? You're asking the question. And answer, you say as-sa'atu. The time is al-an, as-sa'atul ana. The time now is, here it is a sentence. I'll explain this one a little bit later. As-sa'atul ana as-sadisa. What is as-sadisa? What is as-sadisa? 6, yes. But to be more precise, here's another issue that you have to understand. Who can give me actual translation of this as-sadisa, actual translation? Yes, it's sixth. Actual translation is sixth in ordinal number. But in English, we say in cardinal number, right? We just say 6. So what you have to know, few things you have to know. Number one, let me see how much I want to explain to you, because I don't want to make things harder than it is. Number one is when you say time, for time, always use ordinal numbers, always. Let me think. There's some other different expression you can use cardinal number, but when you're asking like this, you have to give the ordinal number, right? Do you know? Because if you don't know ordinal and the cardinal numbers, you have to go back to the previous lesson. We had a big lessons where we talked about all of these things. How do you say one and first, two and the second? Okay, wahid. How do you say first in Arabic? Al-awwal, which is goes for wahid. Okay, and the ordinal number will be awwal. And we also mentioned that, the crazy thing about Arabic language, as you know, everything has a gender, right? So we also have a gender for the number. So we have wahidatun. And what is the ordinal number for that? Ula. So awwal is the first for the masculine and ula is the first for the feminine. Guys, these things we have to know. That's nothing else I can do right now. If you have to know these things. And inshallah, I think if you go to the previous lessons, you will find them. So we have to know them. So what do you have to do? Few things you have to know. Number one, you use the ordinal number. Number two, use feminine version. Okay, you understand? For time, you use feminine. So you are not going to say, if somebody's asking what time is it and you want to say 3, you're not going to be saying thalath. Okay, this is one wrong answer. Thalathun. Or if you remember, you're supposed to use the feminine. So you'll be like, okay, fine, let me use the feminine version. Thalathatun. So is this right? The time is now thalathatu. Is it right? Because remember, for 3, we have 2. We can say thalathun or we can say thalathatun. So now I want to say it is 3 o'clock. Can I say thalathatu? No, we can't. Why? What is the problem? I have the feminine, but what's the problem? The problem is it has to be the correct ordinal number. Thalathatu. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. So I'm trying to make sure you understand all of these things. When you say time, you cannot say the number, you have to say the ordinal number. You cannot say 3, you have to say third. This is 3, this is third. Athalitha. Make sense? So this is something looks like you guys have to do a little bit of a review. So basically another thing what I wanted to mention is that this is actually complete sentence. So this is your subject and this is your predicate. Somebody who's coming from the Medina class, your mind will be fried up right now. You'll be like, what are you talking about? Both of them are definite. Well, yes. Okay, so that's why they're also matching the gender. Make sense? Guys, make it easy. Just learn the expression. Kamisa, what time is it? Learn this expression. This is the first thing that you need to know. And of course, as I said, the ana, you can add them or you don't have to add them. It's something that you have to know. If you want to say what time is it now, then you will say al-ana. And then for the answer, you say as-sa'atu as-sadisa, or you can say as-sa'atu al-ana as-sadisa. Make sure you answer with the sa'a. So you have the first part as sa'a, and then the number that you will be giving, it will be ordinal number in the feminine form. Here's the second one. كم الساعة الآن يا أحمد؟ الساعة الآن الثانية. What is الثانية? Second. Excellent. Okay. You get it? Guys, the time is not that easy. I'll tell you one thing. Anything that has to do with numbers in Arabic, it is extremely difficult. And that's why whatever we get, we have to make sure we understand. Otherwise, things will be piling up. And when you see all the rules at once, you know, you will flee. You will be like, I don't need to say any numbers. You know, I can live without numbers. Now, so let us do a few of them. So we have كم الساعة الآن يا فاطمة الساعة الآن الحادية عشر. So when you have, here's another thing. So when you have compound, like especially we'll only have for the 12, for 11 and 12, right? Which is 11 and 12. This situation, like 11 and 12, the first one will be definite. The hadia is for 1. You understand? This is another word for 1. So, and the second one would be indefinite. So this one is definite, alif lam. Second one doesn't have definite. Another thing you have to know, subhanAllah, this is really crazy. I told you already that the rules of the numbers are very crazy. When you have a compound numbers like 11, 12, 13, 14, they are always will be in fatha. Guys, when you have compound numbers from 11 to 19, there always will be fatha. So you cannot say here, you cannot say al-hadiyatu asharatun. It will be al-hadiyata ashara. So you're getting enough rules for the day. So number one, make sure you know the first part would be definite, and the second part, the ashara, will always be indefinite. So how do you say 12 o'clock? You will say athaniya. Would you say al-ashara? No, you'll say ashara without the alif lam. And make sure both of them has fatha. This is only for the compound numbers. For us right now, just think about the 11 and 12, because I don't think we say 13th, although we can. You understand? A lot of these things would be just rules and somehow memorizing them and practicing so that it becomes a little bit easier. Okay, some things are just hard, you just have to practice. So all of the numbers end with fatha. Yes, when you're talking about this compound like 11, 12, okay, then both of these numbers, both of these words will get fatha. If it's not compound, what do we do? It's dhamma. Okay, so okay, again, very important, because guys, these things you're not gonna, they're teaching you right now. If something they're teaching you have to memorize, because they will not be teaching you again. So for when you say numbers, few things. When you say numbers, you say kamisa. That's number one. Kamisa'atu. Okay. Number two, when you answer, you say asa'atu, that the time is, then you give number. What do you give number? You give number, ordinal number. Instead of saying 5, which is khamsun or khamsatun, you say al-khamis. Okay. And then you use the feminine version. You don't say al-khamisu, you say al-khamisatu. Okay, that's number one. Number two is when you have a compound like 11 and 12, you have to put, the first one gets alif lam, the second one doesn't, and then you put fatha in both of them. Guys, this is something that you just have to memorize. There's nothing else, we can spend a lot of time. This book, it gives you plenty of exercise. Inshallah, we'll see them. You'll get used to them. That's what it is. Another thing they're teaching you, how do we say, for example, in English, if we want to say the time, you want to say, instead of saying the time here is 4:45, you can say that, but you can also say 4:45, right? That's another way of saying 4:45. In Arabic, that's the expression that they will be using most of the time. They will say 4:45. They will not say, you can say it, you can say 4:45, but they will say 4:45. So when you say 4:45, how do we say it? The same thing, you say sa, which is we have, and then you want to say 4:45. So see, even in English, we bring the 5 first, and then we take away quarter. So same thing, we say illa. Illa is except. Ruban, except quarter. Rub is quarter. Remember we talked about, we had this word nisf. I think all of them will come here. Nisf is half. Look, nisf. Nisf is half. And we also learned thuluth. Thuluth is 1/3, and the rubu is 1/4, which is quarter, right? 1/4 is a quarter. So only thing you have to know, when you're using that except, like in a quarter to, then again we have to use fatha. For example, if this was here, time was here. Okay, now it is what? We have, it's not quarter, it's 1/3 left. So you'll say illa thuluthan. You understand? So it's something that you have to pay a little bit attention, but I'm just explaining to you right now, but rest you have to spend some time. So just remember this expression. You want to say 5:45. So you'll say as-sa'atul ana as-sadisatu illa ruban. 5:45, just like in English. You say the 6 first and you take away the quarter. You understand? And that's how we do it. And here's the 12. I already give you the 12. Numbers are hard, guys. When I was studying numbers, I'll tell you, I was trying to escape through it as long as I could. But then always the teacher would give us number, either the page or this and that. The teacher will say the class will start after this time or something. I felt that I cannot push it anymore. It's a number, something that we have to memorize. Okay, so it takes time, definitely takes time. So now how do we say 1.5, like 30 minutes? 1:30, 2:30. In English, I think we don't see. Do we say it's 3.5 right now? I don't know. I'm getting confused. But in English, I think we just say 2:30, 4:30, 5:30. We give the whole numbers. But in Arabic, we'll say nisf. Nisf is half. Okay, so here we have 1.5. How do we say? Al-wahidatu wa nisf. This one is easy. 1.5. So you understand? And then the rubo, if we want to say 4/4, or like here we have a 7/4, right? How do you say? In English, I think we always use the numbers. I don't know. I cannot think of using those quarter things too much. Like we will say 7:15, 7:20, 7:30. But here, that's not how they will say. They will say, because they recognize this is a quarter. So before it was except 15, now we will say wa and 15. So you will say as-sabi'atu, because it's 7, as-sabi'atu wa rubo. Okay, 7.25. If you want to say 7 to quarter, then you will say illa. The time is that 6:45, which is what, quarter to 7, right? 6:45 is quarter to 7. In this situation, you will say as-sadisatu illa, except quarter. Illa what? Illa rubu. Ruban. You understand? So when you have missing, that's when you will say illa. It's the same thing. Illa means except. And when you have this quarter, you have a 7/4, then you will say as-sabi'atu. Sorry, this one is wrong. It's not as-sadisat. It will be as-sabi'a. As-sabi'atu. Do you understand? Oh, how about that? You want more numbers crazy? Those numbers, you have to know the rules, how to say 35. you know Even 25 you have to learn. So right now they're not trying to give you the rules for the other ones, because those are different rules. If you want to say 25, 35, the numbers is difficult. It's not going to be the same way that they're teaching. Saying 25 is a little bit different than the saying 15. Okay, in Arabic number, there are rules for every different layer. Rules for 1 to 2, rules for 3 to 10, rules for 11 to 12, separate rules for 13 to 20, then rules for 20 to every different layers. You have the rules. So the book doesn't want to bore you with how to say 35, and I don't want to confuse you with the 35 right now. But right now, only thing, the first step, I will say, because it looks like it's a little bit different, complicated. First step is just learn how to say a time, like perfect hour. How do I say it's 3 o'clock? How do I say 4 o'clock? How do I say 5 o'clock? That is the first step. Number one, how do you ask about time? Okay, that's number one. You need to know, which is very simple. Kami saa. What time is it? That's the only expression you have to know. And of course, you can say al-ana. That's number one. The second thing you have to know, how do you answer? Or at least how do you start to answer? How do you start to answer? Just by saying as-sa'atu. Al-ana is an optional. You can say as-sa'atu al-ana. And now your first step would be how to say a complete hour. As-sa'atu al-ana al-khamisatu is 5 o'clock. As-sadisatu, 6 o'clock. As-sabi'atu, 7 o'clock. As-thaminatu, hakada, like this. You understand? So this would be your first step. Second step, I would think, is learn how to say half, like 1.5, like 1:30, 2:30, 4:30, which is very simple also. What do you do after the number? Just say wa nisf. So you say, for example, 3 o'clock, you know how to say as-sa'atul ana al-thalithatu. This is 3 o'clock, but how do you say 3:30? Just add wa nisf. So this would be your second step to learning. And then the third step would be learning about how to say, in the second step, you should also add how to say like 15, which is what? Rubo. How do you say 20? For the 20, you can say wa thuluth. For example, if you say 3:20, you can say what? You can say as-sa'atul ana al-thalithatu wa thuluth. Thuluth is 1/3. So you understand, once this one is you're a little bit comfortable, then you go with the illa, which is except. Meaning now you have to say, how do you say quarter to 5, quarter to 7. Right now we have to, the book has to explain everything. I have to explain everything, but I'm giving you a step by step how you can master this, guys. These are extremely important. Okay, don't underestimate any of these things. The book is very, very nice the way they bring information. Don't push this thing because it gets things can get complicated, and we use this structure for other things as well, because you have to know how to say ordinal number, just like, for example, all of these things. See, we're talking about 14th exercise. What are we using? It's the same concept that we have. See, fatha, fatha. So the rule is there. The rules is not exclusive to the time. The rule is exclusive to the numbers. So you have to know this number here. See, you cannot put dhamma or anything. You have to put fatha. Why? I just told you, when you have a number in a compound number from 11 to, you have to know compound number what, 11 to 19, that's when you have to use fatha. So everything you are learning, trust me, it's going to be useful for the other scenario as well.